Welcome to Methamphetamine. Today we're gonna do the integral of d power of negative x squared cosine of root 2x dx from negative infinity to positive infinity. And here, because it's an even function, to check either this even function, you can put negative x inside, you'll get this. Get the original back. So you can write this as the 1/2 time the integral of e power of negative x squared times cosine of root 2x from 0 to infinity dx. Of course, it's not. Because double it, you just get double. You need to double it, not multiply by 1/2. It's a mistake. 2 times this will give you this because it is an even function inside. Just 2 times the from 0 to infinity will just equal to that. So here we're gonna use our Friedmann technique. We let our I of alpha is equal to 2 times the integral of from 0 to infinity e power of negative x squared cosine of root 2. But this is root 2 because Friedmann technique says it should be alpha here. This. So Friedmann technique just it can help us to solve whenever what number and the integral will give you the answers. So here we're gonna do the derivative with respect to alpha here. And then so do the derivative of this, you get I prime of alpha and then plus 2. And then do the derivative of this, you need to put it inside. You can put it inside the the integral. And whenever if you put the derivative inside, you need to use the partial derivative. And this is the symbol of partial derivative with respect to alpha of d power of negative x squared cosine of alpha x dx. And here, because we are in our alpha derivative with respect to alpha, so e power of negative x, never mind, this is just a constant. The multiply inside the derivative of this, you get negative sine of alpha x. And here, derivative with respect to alpha, so x is just a constant, so you will just need to multiply by x inside dx. And here, to do this integral, we're gonna use our DI method. We're gonna differentiate sine of alpha x and then integrate negative x times e power of negative x squared. To do the integral of this, you get 1/2 e power of negative x squared, because if you differentiate e power of negative x squared, you get the original and then multiply by the rest of the term. You're gonna multiply by negative 2 over x. We do this, just need to cancel out the 1/2. Cancel out the 2. Multiply by 1/2, you will get that. And then here, differentiate this, you will get cosine of alpha x. And then here, alpha is a constant, so you will get alpha. And then do this time that, it becomes 2 multiplied by 1 over 2. Let me just write as here. Sine of alpha x, and then bring this to our denominator over e power of x squared, right? Then we're gonna plus 0 and infinity inside, and then subtract another. Alpha is a constant. Put it outside integral alpha over 2 times the integral of e power of negative x squared cosine of alpha x dx from 0 to infinity. The fun fact, you will see this one is just our we don't have a 2 here, don't worry. Let me just give it a 2. Multiply by 2 here. But it will change the whole thing forever. So you're gonna divide by 2 at the same time. So over 2, you get 4. And then here, 2 of this is what? It should be a negative sign here. 2 times this, you get what? It's just this, I of a. So let me just simplify. Right here, you get sine 2 and 2 cancel each other. You will get sine of alpha x over e power x squared. Put 0 and infinity inside, and then 2 and this 4 will cancel each other. Just simplify that, cancel each other. Minus alpha over 2, and then this one is just our I of alpha here. And then if you put infinity inside infinity, and here if you put infinity, and this is much bigger than this, it's between -1 to 1, just very small. A very small number divided by an extremely big number, you will get 0. And if you put 0 inside, you also get 0, so just ignore it. So I prime of a is equal to negative, I prime of a is equal to negative alpha over 2 times I of a. And here, I prime of a, you can write it as di over d alpha, not a, is equal to negative alpha over 2, and write this as I. And then here, we're gonna divide by I on one side, you'll get di over I is equal to negative alpha, not a, negative alpha over 2, and then multiply by d alpha. And then here we can do the integral on one side. You will get, this is just ln epsilon value of I is equal to negative alpha square, add 1 to the power and then divided by a new power, divided by 2, you get negative alpha square over 4 here. Add another constant c1 here. The reasons of c1, because when you raise c on one side, you get e power of something. Let me do this in our head. E power of negative alpha square over 4 plus c1. You just get e power of negative alpha square over 4 multiplied by e power of c1. E power of c1 is just another constant, so you will get, this is equal to c2 multiplied by e power of negative alpha square over 4, and then I. It doesn't matter when you raise c on one side, and epsilon of I is equal to this, and then when you get negative or positive, and then negative and positive, they both belong to c2, just combine the constant. So okay, the original I is just, original is 2 times the integral of e power of negative x squared cosine of alpha x dx is just I of a alpha. For negative infinity, it's just our equal to c2 times e power of negative alpha square over 4. Here, we're gonna let alpha, when alpha is equal to 0, you see what happened. 2 times the integral of, when the plus 0 inside alpha, you get cosine 0. Cosine 0 is just 1, so never mind, multiply by 1. So e power of negative x squared dx is equal to c2, and then put 0 inside the alpha, you get the 1. So e power of 0, and then 1 multiplied by c2 is just c2. And then here is the Gaussian, the half of Gaussian integral. The Gaussian integral says the integral of e power of negative x squared from negative infinity to positive infinity, this will give you the square root of pi. And here, e power of negative x squared is an even function, so you can change this to the half of this. This is the half of this. So the integral of this is the square root of pi over 2. So 2 times square root of pi over 2 is equal to c2. So, ladies and gentlemen, c2, our constant is equal to square root of pi. And finally, our original question, you will get the integral of this e power of negative x squared cosine of square root of 2 x dx. This is just equal to our constant c2 is equal to square root of pi multiplied by e power of negative. And then our alpha is what here? Square root of 2. So square root of 2 over 4. Square that. So you're gonna simplify it. You'll get 2 and the square, they cancel each other out. And then 2 and 4, they reduce to 1/2. So you can change it to square root of pi over square root of e. Just combine it. You will get this integral is equal to square root of pi over e. The inside, pi over e, take a square root, and this is really, really cool. If you use the calculator, and you will get about 1.08, and that's it.